They were fishermen. He said to them, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and followed him. He walked along from there and saw two other brothers, James the son of Zebedee and his brother John. They were in a boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets. He called them, and immediately they left their boat and their father and followed him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
St. Paul, writing to the Romans, says that our faith comes from hearing. That explains to us the character of handing on, the character of tradition. And that's the nature of our faith. It is being handed on. And as it is being handed on, we proclaim it, we receive it, we proclaim it again, and other people receive it in turn. And that is how the proclamation of the gospel spreads even to the ends of the earth. The apostles were sent. The kind of sending is not on their own volition, but rather it was the Lord who sent them to go to the whole world, proclaim the good news, teach all nations, baptize them. It was the Lord who commanded them to go. But before sending the apostles, the Lord had to invite them. Come, follow me. Our gospel for today is about the call of the first disciples, Peter and Andrew, James and John. Today we celebrate the feast of St. Andrew. St. Andrew was a very humble person, and his only tagline, his only title is to be the brother of Peter. We know very little of St. Andrew, and his identification is always the brother of Peter. You have Peter, the elder brother, and you have Andrew, the younger brother. And Andrew was always like an assistant to his brother, which is normal for brothers. The younger brother always helps the elder brother, especially in the concept or in the field of work. And look at the image. They were fishermen. They were mending their nets, and the Lord approached them where they were. This is very significant for us because the Lord comes to us not on a mountain up there when we are very happy or when we are very prayerful. The Lord approaches us in the context of work, where we are to be found in the context of work. The Lord will not call you when you are sleeping. No, the Lord calls you when you are doing something for Him. And yet here you have a very ordinary work, the work of fishermen. That was their bread and butter. They survived on fishing. And come to think of it, maybe midway or even past their midlife, they were called by the Lord to become His disciples. We may be so focused on our profession, and yet somewhere along the way, the Lord tweaks it a bit, and He gives us another sense of direction. That your work now will no longer be for your own survival, for your own existence. Your work now will no longer just be for your family. Your work will no longer just be for your future, but rather your work will be for people, for others. You will become men and women for others. And that is a call for all, to become men and women for others. Jesus here gives us a play of words. You are fishermen. From now on, you will become fishers of men. From now on, you will be catching people. You will be catching souls. No longer just fish. And you can apply your experience at sea. You can apply that to your proclamation work, to your mission work. And I'm going to send you someday, but you will have to be with me first. Come, follow me. And very interestingly, the disciples, Peter and Andrew, James and John, didn't take long to decide whether they would follow Jesus. Unlike the men and women of today, if you ask them to serve in church, they would say, I'm going to wait until my retirement. Or maybe I'm going to serve the Lord in church. I'm going to serve in church. Well, when my when my youngest child finishes schooling, so that I will be a little bit freer to serve. Notice the kind of mindset we have. We have our own ambition to pursue. We have our own plans to pursue in life. And Jesus somehow invites us, and then we say, no, not yet, not now. Why? Because I have more important things to do yet. The schooling of my kids, my work, my promotion, my advancement, my family. There are a million reasons. There are a million reasons for us to say no to the invitation to serve. And yet you have Peter and Andrew, James and John at the backdrop of our theme today on discipleship. And against that backdrop, we find something in Peter and Andrew, James and John in common. They were fishermen. And because they were fishermen, they were people who were courageous. They were not afraid of the sea. They were not afraid of the Lake of Galilee. The Lake of Galilee is a freshwater lake, and it lacks buoyancy. And you need to learn how to swim, and swim fast. You should know how to float, because there's no buoyancy in freshwater lake. In a freshwater lake, they were strong people, courageous people. They were men who were always facing the vagaries of climate, the vagaries, the changes of the weather. And the Lake of Galilee is notorious for that. They were always at sea. And if you look at the lives of fishermen, they would go out even at night, and precisely at night. They would go out there in the open sea, just to look for fish. When everybody is sleeping, they are awake. Notice the kind of sacrifice that they were used to. They were so familiar with that sense of sacrifice for their family, they would wake up when everybody was asleep. They were men of sacrifice, but also they were risk takers. And that is why it's no surprise for us that when they were asked by the Lord, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men," they didn't have to say, let me think about it. They didn't have to say, wait, I still have to go back to my family and maybe ask my wife, consult my wife and my children whether they would be amenable to it. Or they would agree with me whether I'm going to follow you or not. They didn't make any second thought, but rather they followed him immediately. Notice the adverb, immediately. Immediately they left their nets, and at once they left their nets and followed him. Immediately, at once. No second thoughts, no reservations whatsoever. Why? Because they were men of great sacrifice. They were men who were considered risk takers. Jesus must have seen all that. And that's why he invited fishermen. Come, follow me. Risk takers, men of sacrifice. Those are the potentials. Those were the characteristics of these fishermen. And so the Lord called them, invited them, come follow me. He didn't say, come because you are a good speaker. Or come, follow me because you are talented, you know how to sing. But Jesus was looking at their heart. And Jesus saw the capacity on their part to make sacrifices for their family, and to risk everything just so that they could survive their family. But this time the Lord tweaks it a bit and gives it a deeper sense of purpose. This time you will be making a sacrifice for me, for the church. This time you will be risking your lives for me. Come, follow me. I will make you fishers of men. If there is anything that we have to learn from the apostles, St. Andrew, Peter, James, and John, it will be about the capacity to sacrifice and the capacity to take risks. Very important characteristics of apostles. Very important characteristics of disciples. You want to be a follower of Christ? Then learn to be a man of sacrifice, a woman of sacrifice. Learn to take risks for the gospel.